Welcome everyone, this is your OG Original Gamer and this is a Godforge video. Today we'll be looking at the biggest meta shift in business and gaming history. Have a quick discussion about pay-to-play game economy dynamics and finish with a sneak peek inside your OG's brain housing group to flush out a Texas Hold'em style tournament with in-game resource or outside spend buy-ins. This spotlight is going to smack with usable tips. So if you need to pause at points or come back to rewatch the videos, then that might be the best strategy for you. If you like what you're hearing, click that thumbs up, subscribe, and set your notifications so you don't miss any of the advice you are going to need to excel in Godforge and in this upcoming alpha. All right, so this deep dive is going to be on the rise of content-centric marketing strategy over traditional marketing strategy. In the business world, there might not be anything more important than being able to attract customers, as new customers are the lifeblood of any scalable strategy, and few business owners want to stay small forever. We are going to do a deep dive on the massive meta shift that is set to cross a key threshold and change the way we buy things forever. Do you find yourself going and looking for advice before you make a purchase? Do you check Facebook or YouTube? How about if you want to learn how to do something? I'm sure you search YouTube, right? Or do you check your Encyclopedia Britannica? No shade to Simon and the guys on the other side of the pond. For years now, the rise of the content creator has not been a secret, but the development of tools and techniques have now made it possible for nearly anyone to put forth high-quality content on an area they like or know well. And you and I can go and search and find that advice and know as much as that person who was most knowledgeable in the area before we make decisions. It is like having an unpaid organization of researchers, marketers, and process improvers that you can access for free at any time. It's a no-brainer, and here's why. The proof is in the numbers. Content marketing costs 60% less than traditional outbound marketing and can generate 6 times higher conversion rates. 55%, it will generate 55% more sales qualified leads or website visits at 33% lower cost compared to generic campaigns. 80% of marketers, the pros in this space, rank it as the most effective method of demand generation. And in it even deeper, video content delivers a 93% ROI or return on investment, making it a top performing format. Each video that's added is also now a company asset, where marketing has typically only been thought of as a cost center. Does your traditional marketing strategy build your balance sheet like this, or does it just show up as an expense line item? So why hasn't it taken over? As mentioned, resources and tools are always improving, and there's a phase line that will be crossed that will lead to even greater adoption than we have seen thus far. 45% of business-to-business marketers say that a lack of scalable content creation models, and another 55% cite resource shortages as a barrier. Okay, your OG is going to be mixing in tips and tricks and guides on how to make your gaming and content creation model scalable and resource rich, just like you want your account in Godforge to be. So subscribe to this channel and be sure to rewatch any videos so you don't miss any of this necessary knowledge. Back to the deep dive. So, traditional marketing leaves you at the mercy of the quality of the leads you buy. Without lead scoring, which AI does really well, by the way, you don't understand, and if you don't understand your marketing strategy fully or who your target customer is, then you're just guessing, you're just throwing darts. Why not put the darts down and have a closer relationship with your customer than that? Why not make market research an ongoing discussion so you can learn more about what their real needs are and continue to evolve your products and service to be dialed into that target audience that you have determined is your ideal customer segment when you're looking at your pricing strategy and your revenue generation engine. This only happens if you have a close relationship, which takes time to build trust, and you have to make it easy for your customer to tell you where you can improve, or if you're already good, but how it could become a great experience, in fact, and made better. Early on, it's all about dialing in the product and service to most accurately meet the target market's needs. But over time, as that is optimized and the gains diminish, there becomes a different and new focus. And you're now focusing on using that position at the leading edge to show the customer examples of futures that they might be able to have, laying out possibilities that the customer has never expressed wanting because they may not even know yet that they do want it. Thus, content-centric marketing strategies are adaptive and can grow to fit the changing maturity of an organization. Some different forms of content-centric marketing: blogs, video blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, long and short forms, articles and writings, journals, magazines, obviously photos, photography. All of that is areas where content creation happens. Why is this happening? Well, the ease of communication skills for sharing and the distribution of information products through digital platforms is just so much easier and getting easier every day. There's a rising demand for unique and engaging content. There's lower barriers for entry for starting and building a content creation business. There's lower cost to test your strategies. You have increased need for companies to be able to have a conversation with their customer that provides them meaningful feedback to their strategic decisions. So they need people who can help reduce the distance between biz and buyer. There's a push for greater transparency from companies, and having an ongoing conversation is a great way to be more transparent. There's a desire to have that ongoing conversation too, rather than just being yelled at by ads, because there's a real desensitization to advertisements, and it means we have to enter the conversation in another way. Suspicious customers from years of poor experiences with other companies bring a bias that can only be changed with direct interaction. Distance diminishes the effectiveness and probability that they will change their mind and that you will convince them that you offer something good that they need or should want. If you're constantly putting out content on a subject you know a lot about, it's not hard to quickly be seen as an expert in that field. This position of authority is helpful, as the leads generated from content marketing may be slower to arrive or slower to close, or slower to arrive, but they're more likely to have already made their buying decision because you are the one who provided them with an educated buying experience. That look at the good, the bad, and the ugly in an honest way. This shows that you care about them. This cannot be done well in the fast world of advertisement, where grabbing your attention amongst a sea of swirling stimulus requires more and more manipulative tactics to achieve the desired results. The only way to really do this well is to enter into a conversation with your customer, build trust through consistent communication and transparency that shows you care about the impact your decisions have on them. I love this quote. No one cares about how much you know, OG, until they know how much you care. And you can't care from afar. You can't care by yelling about how great your company is, and you can't care if you're only concerned with what you will get from the interaction. Caring is about being there and being willing to have a hard conversation or conversations about a topic, because this is what it takes for your customer to feel comfortable stepping into your world and exchanging their hard-earned and sometimes scarce resources on your product or service. If you want your growth engine to be fueled with only the best customers, those looking to buy now, and not clogged up with the gunk of looky-loos or competitors trying to figure out what you're doing, or prospects with unrealistic expectations about what your product or service provides, then you need to watch this video until the end. You need to pause, you need to come back and rewatch, and you also need to watch some of the other videos on the channel if you want to have the most comprehensive and detailed information fueling your gaming and life experience. Moving now to growth engines. Okay, there are several different types of growth engines for companies. You have customer acquisition growth engines, you have market share growth, efficiency growth, and of course, community growth engines like what we see around game production and launch. I think the worst quote in history for, to be applied to game development would be build it and they will come. It's more like build it without any feedback or input from your player and customer base, and you will hear crickets quickly. There's nothing worse than a lonely metaverse. What modern gaming companies want is that thriving and engaged community eagerly waiting for what they put out. This community has many roles. There's those who guide and teach. There's those who play and brag. Those who play and quit and come back and feel silly because what were you thinking? No, I don't like failure either. Not many people do. But remember, what do we do when we fail? Do we get back up? Yes, but we iterate and improve. All right, let's take a look at the next current marketing meta. All right. Is the marketing meta shifting? For a while now, it has been considered the best practice to build your lead generation capturing process, more commonly known as a funnel or a sales funnel, with a splash page to capture the variety of inputs of leads, social media, SEO, partnerships, promotional links, and bring them all to one place. With this method, you could simply build a new splash page for each segment of your marketing strategy. Does this customer buy from us because they have a strong sense of cost-cutting importance? Okay, let's make sure that site is optimized to what that customer wants and needs to see. Maybe another customer you have is interested in scaling their successful venture beyond being a solopreneur or a smallopreneur level. Then the splash page is not going to have any of the same focuses, and it makes little sense to have both customers entering the same point in your funnel. Funnels should be designed to help prospects self-select. Realize they are not the right customer and this is not the right company, product, or service that I am looking for, and I'm not ready to buy right now. That seems counterintuitive, I know, because we're building this funnel to wring out everyone but the 3% historically and statistically that are looking to buy your product or service right now. The more efficiently you find them, just like the more efficiently you find the characters in Godforge that you should pour your resources in, the faster you're going to progress. We want to capture also some prospects that might show signs of being future customers and add them automatically to a CRM base. That's absolutely true. But we cannot let them clog up the funnel because they typically have more questions, and answering those questions will not necessarily produce a high close rate. After the prospect agrees, the splash page, the prospect agrees to give a small amount of their data, like a name, email, they're then routed to the next page, which is a 2-minute or less value video, which explains what the business does better than anyone else, the secret sauce, and how they do it with these type of customers. Again, if the prospect sees that this is not the solution I'm looking for, and these are not I'm not the kind of customer they work with, it helps them self-select. If the prospect continues after the video, they will reach a survey to provide more detailed information on the specific challenge or problem they're facing or the company or industry they're in. After submitting that form, they're routed to a calendar screen where they can confirm a 15-minute or so appointment for a strategy session or sales close call. Then that call is taking place, and for me, I use an AI note taker, fireflies.ai, to record the call automatically, but it also lets me set up automation so that the AI note taker can tell whether I had a successful call and I closed the sale, or if I didn't and that person should be just simply put into the CRM database. And then that launches certain automations that kick off like my new customer package and other pieces like for you that you might have in your marketing strategy. Okay, so back in the day, you would buy these leads, right? Kind of feels like buying shards. And then you would cross your finger and you'd get the RNG and the drop rates, and you would drop them into your funnel and you'd see how many made it all the way through, and you'd actually have a paying customer, and then you had to collect and they had to pay you, and then boom, wow, you got to actually kind of celebrate, but you were too tired, you went and took a nap. So maybe that's not how it happened. It was a long time ago. But what if, so with that, you're at the mercy of the quality of the leads you buy or can buy, right? If you can only afford this quality leads, or there is only this quality leads out there, then that is going to impact it. And we all know, I know Ash knows this more than anybody, what it's like to pull a mythical shard to get hairier. It just leaves such a more negative taste in your mouth than any upside ever can. So why not take a different approach altogether, right? By making content marketing the core of your marketing strategy rather than an add-on. And moving your traditional, maybe paid advertising and some of these other pieces to your peripherals, to your add-on. And that can help you drive down costs, and it can help you develop a closer, more responsive conversation with the most important individuals in your company's world, which is your customer base. So I'm sure that I'm singing to the choir here on this a little, but other organizations might not be as savvy. They might not see the power that content marketing brings to metrics such as engagement and time engaged and things like that. But adoption will soon reach a tipping point, and then everyone will be making the shift. Historical records and statistical records show us that 10% market share is a common tipping point for the adoption of new products or services. For instance, cell phones was an early adopter thing until 10% of the market had a cell phone, and then everyone had a cell phone, and it was weird that you didn't. So leading up to that 10% market share, it is like bootstrapping a business, okay? It's like bootstrapping your way up the tower in alpha testing. But then once you hit that 10% market share adoption, sort of like when your account reaches a certain point and you've got all the right gear on the right champs, and it's just a matter of really fine-tuning them, you just start to progress much more easily. Suddenly you see and notice this change everywhere once it gets past 10% market adoption. And it goes from early adopter to meta in a flash. So companies it's imperative to be prepared for this launch, because anyone knows that has seen SpaceX or Blue Horizon or any of those, that any launch without careful planning or rigorous standards can result in a fiery ball of flames that leaves you starting over. And in some cases, you can't just rebuild the trust with your customers. All right. Next, we're going to switch to the pay-to-play focus here on singular currency conversions. We're going to talk a little bit about buy-in tournaments, think like a Texas Hold'em style, but maybe with like an arena focus or a dungeon focus or whatever. We're going to do a 4X focus here on the upcoming Godforge game economy. And just to take a side note here, this week's podcast with Chosen, I watched it, took an interesting and elevated look at the sound and sound effects in Godforge, featuring Ivan and Norbert from the Fateless team. I don't want to call them geniuses, because I just feel like I'm going to be like building them up too much, but let's just call them very, very, very intelligent. They were there from the Fateless Few, and their discussion covered AI, their favorite games, past projects that they've been a part of, music theory. I'm pretty certain if you watch the podcast, they mail you an associate's degree or something like that. Anyways, more to come on that. I will drop a link to it in the comments below. If you want to know your OG's thoughts on AI and gaming, I did a huge deep dive on this on one of my previous videos. I will link that as well below, so you can do a deeper dive. Okay, so to get to the meat and potatoes of this video and put a nice bow on it, I'm going to pull from the Discord server, and I'm going to highlight one of the members of the community, OG Mageman. Hey, OG minds great minds think alike, right? OG Mind. So OG Mageman shares this golden ticket idea. And the idea of it is it's a single spend currency. So you can only buy one kind of currency with real money. And that money buys one currency in the game, and then you use that base currency to then convert and transfer to all the other currencies, commodities, and resources. So, very interesting. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like that? Do you not like that? What do you think? Do you think there needs to be more transparency around spending in games, or do you feel like they have enough already? Do you like being able to directly buy the type of resource or currency you need to progress at that time, or do you mind buying a general currency and having to do the conversion? What are your thoughts on being able to make money by playing the game? What if the game economy bleeds over into the real world economy? This also begs the question as to whether account resale will be permitted and provide, ready-made accounts that new players can use to jump into different points of progression in the game for a price. The minds at Optimized Gaming have already begun the work of producing a 4X-style analysis and modeling of the game economy, complete with resource and commodity supply and demand curves, inflation indices, and what strategies for you are going to work best to hedge you from volatility in the game economy that's introduced when you bring in new champions and power creep, when there's new functionality in the game or there's patches. We're going to take a deep dive, and that's going to be coming soon. Okay, next, we're going to switch to what are your thoughts on a Texas Hold'em style buy-in tournament where the wager to get in could be either in-game resources or currencies or pay-to-play, real money. Maybe there could be tournaments of each. And you enter into the tournament, sort of Texas Hold'em style, and then every tournament would have its own rules and conditions. So you'd have midnight, different types of poker, right? And you could have different, keep it fresh. You'd have to study those during that prep phase for your battle. The buy-in pot is split among the top so many winners, and then you have a fun booby prize for Easter egg style accomplishments that were achieved during the fights. Lastly, kind of nerdier, but the use of blockchain as a secure ledger for capturing an unhackable chronicle of the game's life would be really cool, and would allow for individuals' achievements to be etched or forged into that blockchain and kept in the database structure forever. I think that'd be cool. But we'll be putting out more videos, doing deep dives on various aspects of the economy of the game as we know more. We're going to be doing some free-to-play approaches and pay-to-play strategies so you get the most of your game experience, most game experience for your hard-earned money. So please subscribe to the channel and set your notifications to on so that you do not miss any of this insider knowledge you need to succeed. All right, our sign off final thoughts. What if by switching your marketing strategy from a model where you buy leads and drop them into a funnel, hoping that the quality of those leads will be felt and it'll make an impact to your business, you'll be able to grow your business. What if we flip that on its head and we make content marketing the core lead generation engine rather than the traditional marketing and buying leads? Will this turn a cost center marketing into a possible revenue generator through things like YouTube's partner programs, sponsorships, and other things of that nature that also allows you, more importantly perhaps, allows you to stay in close communication with the community that you serve so that you can adapt as their needs do. You never become too OG, too out of touch, too obsolete, and you can provide them with the highest quality experience that doesn't just meet their needs but exceeds their wildest aspirations. Your OG sees content marketing as replacing traditional ad spend and as this organic lead generation being more important than lead purchasing, especially without lead scoring. Working hand in hand with your client is the future, while the past was a time of increased distance between the provider and consumer of products and services. If you are looking to make the most of your Godforge game experience, you're going to want to be part of the optimized gaming team that lives on the cutting edge to bring you razor sharp insights that give you an advantage. That's all for now, folks. Take care of yourself and remember, play smarter.